Go team! Hi, Ugly. It's me, Pussy, and welcome back to Hot or Rat. And today we'll be reviewing the penultimate episode of RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars Season 7, All Winners. Today our queens were challenged to give a unique performance in the Drag Race Gives Back Variety Extravaganza, where the winner of this week's lip sync not only won their $10,000 cash tip, but $30,000 for charity. And in a shocking turn of events, there was a twist. But really, what would an All-Star season be without a shocking twist that changed the entire course of the season in one fell swoop? Y'all wanted a twist, eh? This week, our queens had the legendary opportunity to win not one, not two, but three legendary legend stars for a win in the challenge, which some fans I've seen discussing online as being extremely unfair. However, I'm here to debunk that and present an alternate train of thought. If that wasn't enough twist for you, we found out one more thing. The four queens not entering the final four will be competing for their own alternate title of She Done Already Had Herses and $50,000. So we'll be breaking all of that down, plus going over some of the drama concerning last week's roast. Apparently what we saw wasn't half of the truth, according to what Trinity, Viv, Willem, and Shea said on Twitter. And that's a lot of goopery and gaggery. But you want to know something truly gag-worthy? TrueBill, my favorite all-in-one finance platform and the sponsor of today's video, is saving me over $600 on my monthly bills over the next 12 months. Here's how. In the recurring section of the TrueBill app, which you can start downloading right now by clicking the link in the description of this video, you can see all of your monthly subscriptions in one place. And this is where I noticed a certain streaming service I thought I had canceled still charging me $10 per month. Not today, Satan. TrueBill fixed that with just a tap. And even better, TrueBill actually negotiated with my internet provider to save me $45 every single month. No new contracts, no hassles, no fuss. All I did was upload a photo of my bill right inside the app, and TrueBill took care of the rest. TrueBill can also help you save money with budgeting that automatically monitors your spending by category and sends you a friendly notification if you've exceeded one. And my favorite TrueBill feature is being able to see my credit score at any time, complete with detailed information about credit impacting events and a little report card showing me how I'm doing. TrueBill has revolutionized the way I manage my finances and saved me a bunch of money. And you can try it out for free or unlock extra features with premium by clicking the link in the description of my video to visit truebill.com/pussyqueen. Thanks TrueBill for saving me money and sponsoring today's video. Now let's get this Mario Party started. In the order they performed tonight, and first up, Trinity the Duck. Trinity comes into episode 11 with 4 challenge wins and 3 stars from the Snatch Game, the Ball, the Legendary Legend Design Challenge, and the Roast, which by the way cements her as the queen with the most challenge wins across the entire franchise with 11. Her variety show performance is an original song, which is kind of like a country girl rap that both embraces and ironically celebrates country culture. She leans into the trope of having big blonde hair and long nails, and educates everyone that didn't grow up in the South that bless your heart actually means, damn, you are stupid. And I loved hearing her sing about this because as someone who grew up in Texas and has family in other parts of this southern US, I would always hear people saying things like, bless her heart, bless his heart, when they truly felt sorry for somebody, but in like a sad, pitiful way. And I loved hearing her bring this background later in the lyrics singing, if you got a MAGA hat, well, bless your heart. And I overall love the theme of her reclaiming a culture that often queer people are pushed out of. Plus her set design was phenomenal with all the haystacks and giant barn door, which, by the way, how did she fit that into her suitcase? That was sarcasm, by the way. I know that wasn't in her suitcase. But this set was great. And it ends with the pit crew pouring like 4 pitchers of tea on her, which is about as southern as you can get. I do think this performance will have a little more impact and ring truer for people that are from the South or familiar with that deep country culture. But overall, this was a phenomenal, funny, and intelligent performance. And I'm gonna give it a howdy hot. Next up, boo! It's Yvie Oddly. She comes into this episode with 2 stars, one from Raja during that episode where Raja and Jinkx had extra stars to give out, and the other from the Y2K girl group episode. And while Miss Yvie won't be entering the finale, I absolutely have to give a quick toast to her performance throughout this season. She's had some phenomenal runways, some great challenge performances, and truly proved that she's more than just the odd one in the room. She has a whole breadth of talent that she deserved to share with the world. She says her variety show performance is a love letter to the stunts that she probably cannot continue to do due to her chronic condition. She even says during the episode she's starting to lose her ability to do things that drag queens do, like walk in heels. Her performance starts out with her, or someone who we think is her, walking onto the stage wheeling a box. As it turns out though, the person wheeling the box is not her, but I guess one of the pit crew members wearing her ghost costume from the ball. And this was possibly one of the most creative reveals we have seen in a variety or talent show, so I really enjoy that aspect. The rest of her performance is an original rap song, and it has a great beat, good lyrics that flow really nicely, and she ends the whole thing, as Yvie would, with a gymnast backflip routine. Splitting hairs though, in a comparative sense, her set design was not as elaborate as some of the other queens was, and there were several queens that did original raps of sorts, so I think that is why some of the ones that chose to go the rap route didn't actually land in the top tonight. But I still had fun with Yvie, and this performance gets an Yvie so hot. Next up, and retittling the retattle to the rebuttal, is Jaida Essence Hall. And she comes into this episode with 3 stars, 1 from the ball, 1 from the legendary Legend Design Challenge, and 1 from Jinkx Monsoon. Her variety performance is an homage to 90s rap and the iconic music videos of that era. She's got this giant spray paint wall and wooden crates off to the other side that are part of her set design, and the best part of her performance, the look, which I think is definitely one of the things that people are going to be remembering Jaida from on this season in particular for many years to come. Looks. When ball is life, but you have a drag performance at 9. And the beat, choreo, and lyrics of Jaida's performance are phenomenal. I had so much fun with her. From the self-referencing jokes in the beginning with the retattle, rebuttal, and down to the look over there at the end with that dance move. Iconic. And she talked a little bit this episode about how she has been able to relax and really be her true self throughout this season, and I've got to say that has absolutely shown through. She has radiated even more confidence than she already did in the past, and also found a way to be so relatable at every turn. There's absolutely nothing Jaida did that I would have changed tonight, and I thought this performance was I was gonna say 3-pointer because that's like a basketball joke, but girl, it was a 5 flame pointer. I guess a slam dunk, a home run, a touchdown. Next up, the Queen of Monsoons herself, it's Jinkx, and she comes into the penultimate episode with 4 stars and 5 challenge wins from Snatch Game, Fairy Tale Justice, the Draguation speeches, the viral video, and the roast. And she was, if you're keeping track, the only queen that was actually guaranteed a spot in the final 4 from the outset. And I would say that Jinkx came out and does what Jinkx does best, but there are so many things that she does best. Acting, singing, performing in general, theater, existing. I don't know, she's just literally a cut above the rest. Proven time and time again throughout this season. It's because she's a witch, self-admitted. And this performance is a sort of showcase, an homage to all of those things that she does so well. Singing, comedy, not caring about what anybody thinks, and just being amazing. Plus, she looks great in her Judy Jetson hooker look. So you think she looks like a Judy Jetson hooker. I'm gonna see how many times I can make that reference in my videos before people start rioting. This performance was Next up, look at the 3 stars that she snatched today. It's Shea Couleé. She came into this episode with only 1 though, which is from the premiere where they wrote lyrics and choreography to RuPaul's Legend song. And if you watch Drag Race, and if you're here, I know you do, unless you just love me, you'll know that the writing was on the wall from the very beginning of this episode, with the editing and storyline of Shea sort of gracefully accepting her fate as not being able to make it to the final 4. But I'm here to say that certainly does not mean she didn't deserve it. We'll dissect that in deeper detail at the end of today's video though. In the variety show, she does a song from her upcoming album, which is to be released when she finishes it. And it not only is a great reference to the pop artists that made iconic disco house music of the yesteryears, but also is tapping into current trends like Beyonce is doing right now. You can't break my soul. You can't break my soul. And this song, I've got to say, was not just a good drag song. This was a good pop song, and the choreo that she paired with it was so spectacular. But again, that really shouldn't surprise any of us, considering I think her best moments were designing choreo and writing lyrics throughout this season, as proven with her win on episode 1 and the great job that she did in the Y2K Girls Group Challenge. There was just something about the fire in Shea's eyes that you could see as she was performing that made you think, wow. And wow, did I think that this performance was hot. And next up, our OG style queen coming into this episode with 2 stars from the Draguation speech and Santa's School for Girls challenges. Shockingly though, none from the design challenges, which are where I thought Raja would be sweeping in this season, considering how great she did in those on season 3. I loved her candid moment this episode during the Tic Tac lunch when she was saying that she might not ever do this again, and then confesses that, oh no, not only might she not, she doesn't want to. In the challenge, she's doing what she describes as a Balinese Chinese temple dance that can be done as either male or female, and it is overall a love letter to that culture that she grew up in when she was a young child in Bali. And I'll admit, when I first watched her perform this dance, I wasn't as in love with it as I was after watching some reference videos of this dance style on YouTube. And I've linked to a couple of those in the description of this video. If y'all know of any other that I should check out, definitely let me know down in the comments below. And from the couple of clips I saw, what Raja did truly was a beautiful homage to this style of dance. She looks beautiful in this dress and headpiece she's wearing. I think she did a great job capturing some of the mystic energy that is in this style of dance. I will point out though, this was a huge risk for her to do because most of the Drag Race audience, and probably the judging panel included, will not have any point of reference for this style of performance. And I think that ultimately is why she didn't place higher tonight, because analyzing this performance through that Drag Race TV perspective, I can see how the judges maybe were looking for a whoa, gag-worthy, crazy moment, but that would not have been in the proper theme of that dance. This though was a beautiful slow burn of a performance, and I think it was very brave and beautiful of Raja to share that piece of her culture with us. I think she did a hot job. Next up, the Vivienne, who, as we found out in her Tic Tac lunch, learned that the US drag queens are just as rotted as the UK ones. And I don't know how she ever thought otherwise. Just kidding. She comes into this episode with 3 challenge wins from Fairy Tale Justice, the Y2K girl groups, and Santa School for Girls. But only 2 stars as she was blocked during the Y2K girl groups week. And I also want to point out she won 2 of her lip syncs, which could make her a phenomenal contender in the SmackDown for the crown next week. Or I should say, SmackDown for the she done already had hers' tiara. But without that block, it's really interesting to think that the tiebreaker could have been between Viv, Trinity, and Jaida. In her variety show, she sings an original song, Bitch on Heels, which she shares with us is written by Diane Warren, who by the way has writing credits on Rhythm of the Night by DeBarge. And by the way, do y'all remember when they played the little snippets of that song every time that RuPaul brought up Crystal Method looking like DeBarge? But another Rhythm of the Night. So I'll start off by saying I don't think this track will be for everybody. I have a feeling the slightly older crowd, and I'm talking about myself, will like it more than the younger crowd because it does have that more retro 80s kind of feel. But the song itself and performance that Viv gave is a solid powerhouse of a bop. The kids still saying that? Are the kids still listening to Kids Bop? I'm losing my mind. Where her performance though was possibly half a flame less than like let's say Jaida's or Shea's tonight was in the choreo. It was relatively simple, but in the theme of the Vivienne, and overall I really loved what she did here. Another legendary legend that can do it all. This performance was hot. And we did indeed save the best for last. It's Monét Échange, or I should say, okay, nope, not gonna try to do opera. She comes into this episode with 2 stars from the Legends track in the premiere and the Branding Dance Challenge TikTok video. I still think though she deserved way more credit for that Y2K girls group performance and lyrics, but maybe the judges were just too busy T9 texting. Monét's variety show performance today comes out of not only left field, but the field left of left field. She sings opera in the bassiest bass of all basses. Side note though, the foreshadowing we got from Jinkx when she mentioned the bass in Monét's tone when she was whispering that she could hear across the room. What Monét did in this challenge though, swept me off my feet, swept me off the wheels of my chair. But my patrons already knew that because I posted my reaction to this challenge over on my Patreon at patreon.com/bussyqueen. That's my members only website where my patron family can get exclusive member benefits like early access to my YouTube videos, access to exclusive videos, and access to the Bussy Queen Discord server, and you can join by clicking the link in the description of this video. See you there. I just said that all with one breath. I'm gonna pass out. Okay. But yeah, this was one of the most phenomenal things that I've ever seen on RuPaul's Drag Race. And not only because it was so unexpected, but because it was so damn good. I was shocked and appalled to hear Monét has been hiding that talent from her drag persona because she was afraid that nobody would want to hear a beautiful woman sing in a bassy voice. And I'm like, Monét, that's exactly why we would want to hear that. The juxtaposition of these two very different contrasts with such a beautiful, unique art is exactly what made this performance so phenomenal. I really don't have enough words for how much I enjoyed Monét's performance tonight, but I've just got to say this was so hot. And deservedly so, Monét is announced as the first winner of tonight's variety show. The second, Shea Couleé. And this, as I hinted at earlier, has been stirring some pots in the fan base. Because their wins, of course, mean that queens with 2 and 1 stars respectively are now in the final 4, ahead of queens who had, like, let's say 3 stars, Jaida and Trinity. However, I don't think any of this was unjust or unfair, especially when considered under the lens of challenge wins and not stars. Like, let's just throw the stars away for a second and consider that we have Shea entering the final 4 with 2 challenge wins, Monét with 3, and then Trinity and Jinkx with 4 and 5 respectively. The other 4 queens who did not make it into the final 4 each have 2, 3, and 1 challenge wins for Jaida, Raja, the Vivienne, and Yvie oddly respectively. When you look at the queen's progress throughout the season in this way, it is readily apparent that Vivienne was really the only one that was sort of shafted here by this large number of stars in the end. Had only 1 or 2 stars been given out, there still would have had to have been some kind of tiebreaker to even these odds. And when you look at Drag Race over the years, both regular and all-star seasons, it rarely is the case that the queens with the most wins end up taking the crown or even making it into the final 3. And that all is to say the difference between 2 or 3 challenge wins in this season specifically, in my opinion, is so marginally tiny. And overall, I think this last challenge really being a winner takes all moment really is just a metaphor for how tight this race has been and how evenly matched so many of these queens are. Now back to our variety show winners and the lip sync they gave today. Monét is wearing her season 10 promo look, iconic, and they lip synced to Supernova by Kylie Minogue. And this was the best lip sync of the season, right next to the spoken word designing women one that Monét did a few weeks ago. But Shea wins this one, and she really was on fire tonight. I agree with the win. Her charity gets $30,000, and we also find out that everyone else's charity tonight gets $10,000 of their own dollars. And after the lip sync, we have to face the music. Jinkx, Monét, and Shea are going to be in the final 4, but that last spot is up for debate. We have Jaida and Trinity both with 3 stars, and Monét is put on the spot because she has the most stars out of anybody to decide who enters the final 4 with her. Wow. I was sweating bullets for Monét just thinking about trying to make that decision. She does though end up taking Trinity, her twinner, with her to the finale. And that is the decision I would have made as well because firstly, we know Trinity has been helping Monét and everyone else behind the scenes here and there with outfits and stuff, but Trinity also has a ton of challenge wins. And I personally wouldn't pass up the opportunity to once again compete with the person that I had to share a crown with on my original season. And finally, after we have our final 4 decided, we find out that the other 4 queens will be competing in their own lip sync SmackDown bracket for the title of She Done Already Had Herses and $50,000 in Kohl's cash. Just kidding, it's actually Ru dollars that can be redeemed for Kohl's cash, which you can sell on eBay for a similar but lesser value. And finally, as promised, we've got some drama from last week's episode that the queens have been discussing online. After the roast episode aired, Vivienne tweeted out, "My favorite joke was Trinity the Tuck. She's been canceled more than AJ and the Queen." Ru went off screaming laughing, and then we had a fun talking about it in the critiques. Shea replied, "Yeah, there were a lot of great jokes that didn't make the roast, ... And someone else replied to a tweet that was talking about Monét's reaction to the lip sync with Jinkx, because there was a reaction shot there that looked a little out of place where Monét was like leaning way far back, and she wrote, "Girl, if you only knew, we are reacting that way to something they completely edited out of that lip sync." And someone else replied to that writing, "And the NDA strikes again." And then Shea wrote, "There's a lot of untold truths about this season, to be perfectly honest, like a lot, but for the sake of the fandom being able to enjoy the show, I refrained from saying anything." Vivienne also tweeted, "Not all my favorite jokes being cut out of the roast, so sick of this Hashtag All-Star7. The girls are mad. Elsewhere on Twitter, we saw Trinity confirm everyone had jokes cut out, and she wrote this about their light-up runways. Yes, almost everyone had major technical issues with their light-up looks not working at some point. The most stressful runway ever. Luckily, they had a professional working back there on all of them at some point. We also saw another tweet where a fan was telling Trinity that if this season were done again, they would like to see some negative critiques from the judges, writing, "I live for moments when someone's fantasy is destroyed by Michelle Visage." And Trinity wrote, "They did. Not sure why they edited it out." We also saw Willem on Instagram writing on the RuPaul's Drag Race page concerning, I think, the roast here. "You should have shown RuPaul standing up, clapping for Raja, to be honest, because it happened, but you all are too concerned with your storytellings and mother goosing." And Yvie oddly also said something about the editing from the episode that week on Twitter, writing, "The editors deserve a legendary legend star for all their hard work." So yes, this season has been drama-free, and I've had such a great time watching it and reviewing it with y'all, but it seems the queens are still having their gripes with the editing and how things are playing out on TV versus real life. But I can understand that with $200,000 on the line. I'd be pretty upset myself. But that's all I've got for you today, so let me know what y'all are thinking about the drama, our final four, and how everything played out in this episode down in the comments below. As always, I want to give a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, TrueBill, who is saving me tons of money every single month, and you can save money too by clicking the link in the description of this video to join TrueBill today. I also want to say thanks to my patrons who make my channel possible and give a special shout out to David Howell, Felix the Foxy Cat, Winnie K, and Zoe Estrella, who've all just joined my Patreon at the hot tier, and Wayne Campbell, who's just joined my Patreon at the hottest tier, and Aiden the Individual, Alessandro 420, Alicia, Angel, Cyrus, Dicky, Felicia, Frankie, Hector, Jeffrey, Joseph, Josh, Laura, Lisette, Louis Labrador, Ruff, Mark James, Matthew Burns, Matthew Bauer, Miss F, Neely, Sailor, Steven, Topher, Pee-wee, and Will and Ton, who are all supporting me at my Bussy Queen Collector tier. See y'all later. Love ya. Bye. And by the way,